Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah. My name is Lester. La ilaha illallah. Muhammad Rasulullah. Inshallah, I'm going to recite Soorat-al-Mursalaat, which is the 77th Surah of the Qur'an. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والمرسلات عرفا فالعاصفات عصفا والناشرات نشرا فالفارقات فرقا فالملقيات ذكرا عذرا أو نذرا إنما توعدون لواقع إذا النجوم انكمشت إذا السماء فرجت إذا الجبال نصفت إذا الرسل أقتت بأي يوم أجلت يوم الفصل وما أدراك ما يوم الفصل ويل يومئذ للمكذبين ألم نهلك الأولين ثم نتبعهم الآخرين كذلك نحن بالمجرمين ويل يومئذ للمكذبين ألم نخلقكم من ماء مهين وجعلناه في قرار مكين إلى قرن معلوم فقدرنا فنعم القارنون ويل يومئذ للمكذبين. Subhanallah. I'm going back to the I think it's the 16th, 15th ayah. ويل يومئذ للمكذبين ألم نهلك الأولين ثم نتبعهم الآخرين كذلك نحن بالمجرمين ويل يومئذ للمكذبين. ألم نخلقكم من ماء مهين فجعلناه في قرار مكين إلى قرن معلوم فقدرنا فنعم القادرون ويل يومئذ للمكذبين. ألم نجعل الأرض كفاتا أحياء وأمواتا وجعلنا فيها رواسي شامخات واسقيناكم ماء فراتا ويل يومئذ للمكذبين. انطلقوا إلى ما كنتم به تكذبون انطلقوا إلى ما كنتم به تكذبون انطلقوا إلى قرن ذي ثلاث شعب لا حظيم ولا يغني من اللهب إنها ترمي بشر كالقصر كأنه جمالة صفر ويل يومئذ للمكذبين. هذا يوم لا ينطقون ولا يؤذن ولا يؤذن ولا يؤذن ولا يؤذن لهم فيعترضون ولا يؤذن لهم فيعترضون ويل يومئذ للمكذبين. هذا يوم الفصل جمعناكم الأولين فإن كان لكم كيد فكيدون ويل يومئذ للمكذبين. إن المتقين في ظلال وعيون وفواكه مما يشتهون كلوا واشربوا هنيئا بما كنتم تعملون إنا كذلك نجزي المحسنين ويل يومئذ للمكذبين. كلوا وتمتعوا قليلا إنكم مجرمون ويل يومئذ للمكذبين. وإذا قيل لهم اركعوا لا يركعون ويل يومئذ للمكذبين. وبأي حديث بعده يؤمنون. صدق الله العظيم. Allah alone is perfect. I am not a professional reciter of Qur'an. I studied for about 2 years, mostly on my own, learning to recite the Qur'an. I've been told that my reciting is good, and obviously I make mistakes. Um, I have memorized this surah, and so I'm going back and forth between reading and reciting from memory, so that created some confusion. And also, I'm recovering from a cold, uh, and I should have kept a glass of warm uh, tea or something. Uh, but, mashallah, Al Quran is a blessing from Allah. Uh, and this particular surah has certain characteristics that emphasize how special the Quran is. Um, First of all, the language. Allah repeats over and over again in the Quran that He has sent us an Arabic Quran. It exists in no other language. People can say this is a translation that can't be translated, least of all into English. The Arabic language has a characteristic that is lacking in English, and that is rhythm. This first ayah, وَالْمُرْسَلَاتِ عُرْفًا, has a rhythm to it. Da, 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 da. Okay? Da, 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 da. I could use some other syllables. Dun, dun, da, dun, da, dun, da. Um, and the second ayah, فَالْعَاصِفَاتِ dun dun da dun da 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 dun dun da dun da da da. And the third ayah, one nashirati nashro dun dun da dun da da da. And the next ayah, fal fadiqati falqa. And the next ayah, fal mulqiyati dhikra. Okay, and then the rhythm changes for the next ayah. Ridvan al nidra. Just bum 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 bum. You know, just 1, 2, 3. إنما توعدون لواقع. And then that's a completely different rhythm. But those 7, is it 7? Yes, 7 ayat. That's the plural of ayah. Okay. Some people call them verses. I prefer to use the word ayah. Singular ayah, plural ayat. And some people call surahs chapters. That's really bad. Um, call them soorahs. You can learn the word soorahs. Excuse me, Soorah, Soorah. um, the Quran has 114 surahs. Um, and Calling them chapters is very misleading. Um, so these first 7 ayat form a group. Okay, the first 5 have the same rhythm. And you can't change the rhythm in Arabic words without changing the meaning. Okay, an extreme example of that is la, and la. La, short, means surely, and la, long, means no. Isn't that's complete? That's more than an opposite. La and la ilaha illallah. No ilah, no God except Allah. La. Um, but la means surely. So this is the rhythm. Okay. Now later on, you'll have well, I call that a riff, and it's actually related to a form of musical form called the chaconne, and you have that in European symphonic music, right? The chaconne. Bach wrote chaconnes. Um, Brahms wrote the last movement of one of his symphonies is a chaconne. That's what it's called, and it's in all throughout symphonic music. You will find this pattern, but it actually came into Europe from the captives in what is now Cuba. And then the Europeans learned it, picked it up, and carried it back to Europe. And so this rhythm came into Europe in that way. But here it is 14 centuries ago in the Quran. Da 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 da. Ba, 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 ba. Ba, 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 ba. That is a rhythm you will find in Afro-Caribbean music and honky tonk even, and other Afro-Latin and African American music, as well as in the music of the African continent. But here it is in the Quran. Without even going into a discussion of the meanings of the words, because words have meanings in whatever language they're in, they have meanings in those languages. We as Americans tend to think that if something has meaning, it has meaning in English. And there are many words in the Quran that cannot be translated into English. Just as an infant learns language, learns all kinds of different languages and words, and has no other language to translate from or to, just has the one language that that infant is learning from the people around that infant. Well, uh, the Quran has meanings that you need to recite the Arabic Quran in order to find out what those meanings are. Because if you go to a dictionary and it gives you an English word, that English word is going to be misleading. Okay? But let me go on to another. Okay, this is a riff, right? وَالْمُرْسَلَاتِ عُرْفًا فَالْعَاصِفَاتِ عَصْفًا وَالنَّاشِرَاتِ نَشْرًا فَالْفَارِقَاتِ فَرْقًا فَالْمُلْقِيَاتِ ذِكْرًا. Repeated rhythmic pattern, and I call it a riff. There's another pattern in this surah, which I call a refrain, right? You know what a refrain is like in music. You have a song, and then this refrain keeps coming back. And this one is uh, وَيْلٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ لِلْمُكَذِّبِينَ وَيْلٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ لِلْمُكَذِّبِينَ. And you hear this over and over again in this surah. Um, so that's a riff. Um, So that's you'll find not a riff, that's a refrain. So you'll find refrains in the Quran, and you also find riffs in the Quran. Um, just I don't even want to start to deal with meaning. One of the things that is I hate to use this word miraculous, because it's from the one who created everything that exists. There was no time, no space, no matter, no energy, nothing. And the one who created everything said, be, and it is. And he describes it as taking place in 6 periods. And then in the seventh period, he sat on his throne. So he is in charge, right? You get a different message from the book of Genesis. But 6 periods are called 6 days. Days means periods, right? When I was 9 years old, somebody gave me a book entitled The Day of the Dinosaurs. I was 9 years old. It did not occur to me for 1 second that that title meant that the dinosaurs all lived and died in one day, one 24-hour period. The day of the dinosaur means a period, right? Okay, so the creator of the heavens and the earth did it in 6 periods or 6 stages, right? And then in the seventh stage, he established himself on the throne, not resting. A throne is a place of work. He is in charge. So I dislike using the word miracle, because after having done all of that, what can a miracle possibly be? Right? He can do anything. And so he sent us this book. He sent it to people who spoke this language, Arabic. And yet there are words in this book in Arabic that they have never seen before. And yet they understood what those words mean. An amazing thing, amazing. So anyway, we maybe on another occasion we can get into meanings, right, in this book. But the really most important thing, because Allah has given us the command to recite. That's the command, to recite. So the command is not to let's dig into this and get the meaning and whatnot. Recite it. Recite it. Get the rhythm and the rhyme and the riff and the refrains and all of that. Man, it is glorious. It is beautiful. So this is the surah, the Soorat-al-Mursalaat. And I'm going to recite it once more. Perhaps my little explanations have helped you to hear what I'm trying to convey. Okay? So listen. And before we recite, we normally say, "A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim." That means I seek refuge with Allah from the rejected Satan. And and then we say, "Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim," which means in the name or with the nation, with the characteristic Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim of the Rahman Rahim, gracious and merciful. Rahman is gracious and Rahim is merciful. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. والمرسلات عرفا فالعاصفات عصفا والناشرات نشرا فالفارقات فرقا فالملقيات ذكرا عذرا أو نذرا إنما توعدون لواقع إذا النجوم قمست إذا السماء فرجت إذا الجبال نصفت إذا الرسل أقتت لأي يوم أجلت ليوم الفصل وما أدراك ما يوم الفصل ويل يومئذ للمكذبين ألم نهلك الأولين ثم نتبعهم الآخرين كذلك نحن بالمجرمين ويل يومئذ للمكذبين ألم نخلقكم من ماء مهين وجعلناه في قرار مكين إلى قرض معلوم وقدرناه فنعم القادرون ويل يومئذ للمكذبين ألم نجعل الأرض كفاتا أحياء وأمواتا وجعلنا فيها رواسي شامخات واسقيناكم ماء فراتا ويل يومئذ للمكذبين انطلقوا إلى ما كنتم به تكذبون انطلقوا إلى ظل ذي ثلاث شعب لا ظليل ولا ذغل من اللهب إنها ترمي بشر كالقصر كأنه جمال صفر ويل يومئذ للمكذبين هذا يوم لا ينطقون ولا يؤذن لهم فيعتذرون ويل يومئذ للمكذبين هذا يوم الفصل جمعناكم الأولين وإن كان لكم كيد فكيدون ويل يومئذ للمكذبين إن المتقين في ظلال وعيون وفواكه مما يشتهون كلوا واشربوا هنيئا بما كنتم تعملون إنا كذلك نجزي المحسنين ويل يومئذ للمكذبين كلوا وتمتعوا قليلا إنكم مجرمون ويل يومئذ للمكذبين وإذا قيل لهم اركعوا لا يركعون ويل يومئذ للمكذبين وبأي حديث بعده يؤمنون صدق الله العظيم. صدق Allah العظيم means Allah the Magnificent speaks truth. So inshallah, I will get back to this in another presentation. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.